It's not finished yet. We're going to have to meet with our audience at some point. Our audience? Your gaze traveled off to the side in matching motion to Baxter. Miranda, Terry, and Cove were still crowded around the tables, except rather than getting any work done, they were watching the two of you like it was the latest daytime soaps. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony, and today we're hopping right back in to our life. So without further ado, let's go. Baxter wasn't willing to say you were wrong or a liar, but neither could he agree with the conclusion. It was a bad idea. You were making a mistake. Those were the thoughts you guessed he was keeping to himself. A change of the approach might be helpful here. You wanted Baxter to embrace the love you had for him, and you didn't have to be the first, but that didn't have to be the first step. Will you at least let me know what I mean to you, whether we're together or not? I just want to know that much. Slowly, only out of the corner of his eyes, Baxter surveyed you critically. How inconsiderate asking me that. You are aware, likely more than anyone else, what a difficult question that is. Yes, I do, but I'm saying it anyway. Well, you wanted to hold on. Baxter took this as a cue to release his clutch on your hand. Fine, I'll answer both. What I feel and what I might do about that is only proper after you've gone to so much effort. But first, I need to give a few prefaces. Okay, I'm listening. Donning on aloof expression, Baxter pulled at the fitted cuffs of his formal shirt. I can't stand doing anything in the morning, even if I can pretend to for clients. We all will do stuff later in the day. I still want you, that's cute. We'll do stuff later in the day. Baxter's guarded stance quirked briefly, then continued matter-of-factly. I can't afford elaborate trips these days, and my only remaining social contacts are limited to the wedding industry, not performance theater, or owners of fancy cars, things like that. So, I don't have don't have millionaire buddies either. I never needed that. I still want you. I can treat you to things. You guys didn't waver. I never needed that. In that case, your commitment changed to demeanor for the worse. Stoicism gave way to despondence. He threw out his hand in defeat. James, I've never been a good partner, even a good friend to anybody in my life. I don't care. You were to me, you've grown. You did the best you knew how. Still want you. I still want you. No matter how many of these considerations he laid out, it was still never going to change how important he was to you. You could have reassured him all day, but then a glint of life flickered in his features. Baxter's lips tugged into a hopeful smirk. You should also know, I'm not one for flings anymore.
Is that fine?
Are you entirely positive you want to go down this route with me? I might not be as fun or easy or as short as you're picturing. I don't care. I want it to last. That is not a con. My problem has always been you running away. Well, I suppose I could put up with you, you teased. I still want to be with you, Baxter. You nodded acceptingly. That was perfect. I'll tell you what. Let's play rock, paper, scissors to decide. As a wise man once said, in for a penny, in for a pound. That is a non-con. The problem has always been you running away. It's your turn, Baxter. Full of determination, you repeated the question he promised to face. Do you want this to happen? Do you care for me? Baxter watched you quietly, carefully, noticing each and every line in your expression and bend in your stance. He was nothing if not attuned to the finer details. Then with a flick of his wrist, and you had your answer. In a word, yes. Wait, did he agree? Just like that? As soon as you questioned it, the instant you were taken aback. Baxter grinned wolfishly. Baxter wasn't pushed onto the back foot any longer.
I love you.
A few more. Absolutely, Mr. Todd. I'm in love with you. I didn't stop wanting to be with you. Your jaw dropped and changed in tune. You remained amused. Now, I won't belabor my objections on your taste in men. That's not what you want to hear. This comes down to what I think, and that was never actually questioned, as I suspect you knew. When I left 5 years ago, that didn't make me happy. When I kept you all at arm's length after meeting again, I was unhappy still. If it doesn't need to be that way, if it was wrong then, I don't know, honestly. I've never considered it a viable option until moments ago. But I do know that would make me happy in an ideal world.
It's you.
Ah! He said it. He said it's me. Baxter gave a bow and was somehow both earnestly and deferently and jokingly self-mocking. He knew he was being ridiculous, and you did too. Yet Baxter wouldn't be himself without this flair for the absurd. I certainly hope that is acceptable. Is there anything else I can help you with today? You kissed him. You raised your hand to kiss the back of it. Wrapped your arms around him. Kiss him. He might be a little caught off guard, but we're going. You hadn't caught him by surprise. The response was immediate. Baxter pressed into the kiss into you as much as his restrictive uniform would allow. You would have expected this reaction, for as fast as he cooled, Baxter could heat up even quicker, given the proper motivation. And though it wasn't the first time you touched him that way, it felt entirely brand new. Baxter had gotten a little taller, his shoulders were broader too, and this meant something far different than it did when you were teenagers. Then Baxter pulled away to speak, still grinning, now panting. Should I take that as a yes? You should. There are many things we can both still do.
I can do that.
Duly noted. I can make that work. Thank goodness. Finally, I knew it all along. You make me happy too. Sheesh, took you long enough. You started sniffling from joy. You sighed in relief. You make me happy too. Baxter slipped a hand into yours once more to finish the dance started long ago. The two of you were in sync then. Your pace increased in time with one another as you took turns leading, the other around the floor that remained all yours. Baxter tilted his head, a humorous thought coming to mind. He was kind enough to share it. Nothing needed to be held back anymore. Of course, proposing during a wedding is an absolute no-no. Deciding to date after the event has already concluded should avoid the fox pause. I'm sure the grooms can find it in their hearts to forgive us. Very true. The romp ended with a grandiose twirl under the golden lights of the setting sun striking right through the ceiling, lengthwise windows, an ideal backdrop for your private performance. You tried to catch your breath from everything. But that wasn't an easy task, considering you were laughing gleefully all the while. Baxter released your hand. You didn't need it since the dance was over, though he found plenty of reasons to keep you close in a gentle embrace.
You're too kind.
Thank you, James. You are very kind to me, most especially. His brown eyes were warm and inviting, an autumn beauty that made its way into your summer by luck or by chance or fate. Always feeling out of place, Baxter kept slipping away. Now that would change. Seeing his face, it was undeniable. He wasn't some stranger there to do a hired gig, or even your old fling you happened to be reunited with. He was particular and proper, distant and difficult, shameless and smug, and Baxter Ward was yours. It seems our story is a happy ending after all. It's quite the surprise, Yes, we've come a long way. After 5 years apart and stubborn insistence, you maintained the distance on Baxter's part. The two of you could stay together. You were so grateful. How could you ever need anything more? Well, my charming boyfriend, I have a proposition for you. Or maybe not more, might be on the table after all. Oh, what is it? Having you rapt attention bolster is already impressive boldness. If I'm recalling this correctly, now that Jude and Scott are leaving on the honeymoon, you'll be alone in their home. That sounds fairly dull, not to mention inconvenient.
In that case,
I would be delighted to have you come over to my apartment for the remainder of this trip. You're asking me to stay with you? I am. Again, there's no reason to waste time, and it would be heartless lover not to even offer. Stunning, you really could have never underestimated what Baxter would pull out of his tailored sleeves. Though if that would be too much, I won't be insulted. Staying one night doesn't require you to stay for longer. Getting more personal time with Baxter before you had to go, or sitting by yourself in the Adams guest room, the decision made itself. Sounds nice, Baxter. I really appreciate that. He was thrilled, and so were you. Everything was positively ideal. Excellent. In that case, It's all almost settled. Huh? Almost?
You know.
Yeah, it's not finished yet. We're going to have to meet with our audience at some point. Our audience? Your gaze traveled off to the side in matching motion to Baxter. Miranda, Terry, and Cove were still crowded around the tables, except rather than getting any work done, they were watching the two of you like it was the latest daytime soaps. You're right. Oh, I forgot about them. Realizing that they'd seen the entire affair, your face grew hotter. That's embarrassing. Smiling, you shook your head in resignation. Oh, I forgot about them. So it wasn't exactly a private show. Baxter chuckled. Why would a little thing like that have one of the most emotional interactions in life, being public event, bother him? Well, it would have been a big problem if things had ended badly. Since it didn't, he was unstoppable. And the momentary distraction that stole your attention away from Baxter was over after a touch. He slipped a finger in between yours to establish his presence at the forefront of your mind once more. You approached the gang hand in hand. They continued to gawk even after you'd become distinctly aware of the impropriety. When you reached their part of the room, Baxter offered a cordial greeting and inclined his head along with the words.
Good day.
A marvelous evening to you, friends. Yeah. Uh-huh. More awkward silence. The three of them glanced between one another, their expression uncomfortably pulled wide and tall. So, they're dating again? Baxter, however, needed no interlude for his response. It came without hesitation. Excellent deduction, Terry. That is correct. Cove gaped like one of his beloved fish. They're all just like, what? You're dating Baxter again? This was giving you flashbacks to the last time you told people you started dating Mr. Ward. No one ever seemed to believe it. Why Baxter? Why? Baxter was so wonderful. He had some questionable quality, sure. That didn't change his incredible appeal. That was a hill you'd die on. Yeah, it was going to be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to have serious long-term relationship, but neither of us wants to be apart anymore. Woo! Wow, congratulations. That's amazing. Miranda beat all the others to the punch in terms of showing excitement. However, she wasn't the last. Terry literally bopped you and Baxter on the arms and cheered.
Finally!
Welcome back for good, B-Man. You're never getting rid of us now. Baxter rubbed a small circle into where he'd been struck. The nudge couldn't possibly have hurt. He felt how harmless it was, but maybe he was worried about wrinkles.
Thank you.
I think that warning applies more to the rest of you about me. I'm not leaving, no matter how many seasons come and go. But thank you. Coe's distinctive wavy brow stayed pinched. To say he doubted that would be an ocean-sized understatement. Okay, well, just don't be terrible. I want James to be happy.
I appreciate the
Of course, I appreciate your openness in the idea. Well, that was still a work in progress, clearly. You were worried Cove had struggled to talk to Baxter even before he vanished for half a decade. You couldn't give him time to get used to it. Both those men were going to be a big part of your life going forward, and at least Cove was willing to be civil. Your friends accepted your judgment and your new boyfriend, and that was something to celebrate. Thanks, that means a lot. That was a good time to mention the next little piece of news, too. Also, you're going to be staying with Baxter for a while. Baxter laughed at your direct explanation. He placed hands on his head and nodded confidently.
Yes.
That's right. I invited James to be a guest at my apartment since Jude and Scott have left on their honeymoon. That way he doesn't have to be there alone during the rest of their stay in the area. Also, because it would simply enjoy having his company.
Sorry.
Already with that? Terry cracked a smile and gave Miranda a nudging elbow. She needed to get a look at this, then he whistled. I don't know how he does it, but that man has done it. He whistled louder this time, and Miranda slapped a hand across her mouth. She spun away from the group, and, still obvious by the way her shoulders were shaking, she was laughing. But really, how did you do it?
To be honest,
I'm not quite sure how either, though I imagine has more to do with James' generosity and kindness than any quality I possessed. Terry and Miranda exchanged a silent grin with one another and then shared it with you. Somehow you managed to defy the odds. It was marvelous to everyone standing there. That evening had worked out. Working as a team, those left in the venue carried piles of boxes, bags into the elevator and down to Terry's van. It took a few trips and a couple high fives, one dive to the elevator doors, and many silly comments, and it was done. Then came the final puzzle, fitting it all in the vehicle. After some creative rearrangement work inside the trunk, what remained of the wedding had been safely packed away. Together, Terry and Cove and you squished the trunk door shut, impressed. When you heard it click into position, the three of you slumped forward and sighed wearily. Terry spun on his heel and wiped his forehead with another of his exaggerated displays of exhaustion. Phew, another successful party in the bag. Terry moved to Miranda's side and hooked his arm around her shoulders and playfully pulled her in close. We're professionals at this point. Miranda rolled her eyes, but nothing could derail the unmistakable delight her boyfriend's proclamation. She lightly patted his hand on her shoulder. Terry, Baxter's professional. Did you forget?
Nah.
No, that only proves my point. We're doing the same work. Miranda giggled and simply accepted Terry's argument. She shook her head as she calmed down.
Thank you.
None of this would have been possible without any of you. We did a great thing for my family. Thank you so much. Miranda sniffled and blinked, trying to keep the tears away. I think the wedding was great. You did a really good job. Terry nodded solemnly and gently rubbed the side of Miranda's arm. Baxter watched over the group, smiling earnestly. Despite all the talk about being professionals, it was the least businesslike Baxter had acted around them in 5 years.
You're good.
Likewise, your efforts were impressive. Thanks, everyone. Good team. Yes, thanks to me, all of the hard work I did. You teased. Yeah, it's okay. I'm never planning a wedding again. You gave a thumbs up. You let a big sigh. Thanks, everyone. Go team. Wiping your palms on the side of your fine attire, it was hard to believe that the wedding was truly done. It kind of felt like you'd won the championship. You were in need of a shower and a big block of uninterrupted sleep, but you also felt a huge surge of pride for the hard work that paid off today. We actually made it. Whew! Terry threw a fist into the air with a big cheer. Miranda joined him on the next one. Baxter clapped gracefully.
Fun.
Yay, party planning committee reunion! On that note, the wedding was officially done. There was no reason for any of you to return to the empty event room, and tomorrow strangely lacked in important appointments. There was a single reason remaining for you to set foot in Baxter's office anytime soon, and that it was entirely at the end. The only traces of what originally brought the five of you together had been unceremoniously stuffed into the van. It was unintentional, but you stood there for a moment in silence until Baxter used that opening to clear his throat. Since we're gathered here and there's no longer a wedding to fuss over, planning anymore, I must use this opportunity to properly apologize to the rest of you. Baxter threaded his fingers through his hair and faced that uncertainty staring back at him. Not to beat around the bush, I treated your friendship and the time we spent together inconsiderately. I decided things for you and about you without letting you have any say in
I'm
it.
sorry.
I was wrong to do that. It was unfair, and I'm sorry. The sincerity left the three unable to react. At first, anyway. Gradually, the words sunk in, and your friend's attention flickered between you and him. The corners of Terry's mouth tugged into a satisfied smile, proudly raised to his chin, and bumped his fist into Baxter's shoulder.
Finally.
I always knew you had it in you. Better late than never, B-man. Miranda's bashfully wrapped a stray curl around her finger and hummed in agreement.
Yep.
There's no reason why we need to forgive you anymore. Exactly. So, don't worry. It's all water under the bridge now. Sure, forget we can start over. Finally, Baxter's lips parted and breathed a deep sigh of relief. The weight of the worries had visibly lifted. How long was he wanting to do that? Years, you imagined, anxiously, picturing the possible directions that conversation could have
I
gone.
appreciate
I-
the understanding.
I appreciate the understanding. Again. Yep, we're understanding people. Alrighty, so. Terry clapped and then pointed at the van. Miranda and Cove nodded, understanding what that cue meant. Some of us are still going to have to unpack this mess. We gotta get out of here, right, Randy? Sorry. No, please go on. Short goodbyes were traded, then Terry, Miranda, and Cove tiredly slid into the van. Somehow, Mr. Holden convinced Cove to stay in his old bedroom, despite it being turned into a makeshift storage container. The others were going to drop him off on their way. You'd encouraged him to do it, even though he was worried about would have been happy to join you in the Adams house. Cove rolled down the window and propped himself on his elbow. He waved you closer.
Oh,
By the way, it's going to be a busy day for me tomorrow. Me and my dad, you know. Terry leaned back in his seat and tried to spot you through the back window. When he couldn't see past Cove's body, he had to yell his comment. Brandy and I are working. If things go well, you're going to have time to yourself after all this. Thanks. After that, a sleepy promise to see each other soon were shared, and then at long last, everybody went on their ways for the night. There was one final pit stop before you could return to Baxter's place in the city. And the rest, Jude and Scott's house. The suburbs were calling to you, come collect your clothes. Baxter used the moment alone to check if you were truly and all right with your friends being unaware of the relationship. You assured him, but asked not to spring it on anyone else without preparing going forward. You reassured him everybody and anyone could know. During the drive, you sent him a text to let them know your plans had changed. The newlyweds responded quickly, and they were thrilled to hear that you would have company while you were still in the area. While they never outright said it, you got the impression the last few days that they had been feeling guilty. Honeymoon or not, leaving a house guest behind just didn't sit right with either of them. Their thoughtfulness and concerns were appreciated, but now the lot of you could breathe easy. And we'll end that one there, because I don't know how much longer this one's going to go on. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Hit subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back Here's Happens Next. I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!